Now, I put this little chart together. Initially they asked me to do this presentation, I said, great, I get to go show Windows NT to HAL PC. And they said, well, IBM's going to be there with OS 2. And I'm going like, why? Why? I didn't understand that question. You know, I didn't understand. Oh, one thing I forgot to bring it up to you. Anybody see the Borg? The Borg is here, cover on the IBM magazine. Who's the Borg in this instance? I couldn't figure that out for some reason. Anyway, I kind of break this down a little bit, have a little fun here, between Windows NT and OS 2.2.1. Now, Microsoft feels it to be a very advanced desktop operating system. There are certain requirements that you have to fill. Of course, IBM and OS 2 and Windows NT satisfy the majority of these, those being run DOS applications, run Windows 16-bit applications, run 32-bit GUI applications. You can also run POSIX applications in Windows NT. You cannot do that today in OS 2. As far as preemptive multitasking, yes. Multi-threading for 32-bit applications, yes. Separate address space for applications, yes. Separate message queues for applications. That's what I talked about earlier about asynchronous input queues. We do it, they don't. We're portable to RISC. That they're not running on RISC right now. They may demo it up here. I'd like to see it. You have symmetric multiprocessing support, C2 level security, built-in file and printer sharing, yes, there, no. Built-in email and scheduling, yes, no. Built-in remote administration tools, yes, no. They do good SNA support, so do we. And TCP/IP is a protocol included, yes and no again. Now, let's talk about some of the other things going on with Windows NT. Microsoft just announced that we're in the middle of a research project with several leading computer universities and giving them the Windows NT source code. Those being Brown, Carnegie, MIT, California, Berkeley, University of Washington, some of the standard research institutes. The purpose here is to open up NT to these environments and let people add value to it without necessarily creating new operating systems. Something that happened to Unix that I hope that we can avoid. Now, where do we go from here? Well, for those of you running Windows that don't upgrade to Windows NT, I doubt there'll probably be a few of you out there. But anyway, there'll be a version of Windows in the future, and it's referred to as Chicago. In the press, anyway, that's the code name internally in Microsoft. And of course, Windows NT users will move to a product referred to as Cairo, and I want to concentrate on that product for a second. Now, what do we get to in this environment? Well, we're a long way from there right now. We're probably at 2 years from seeing this product in the market. We'll probably go into beta sometime late this year. But essentially, the things that we add are services on top of a good foundation. We have a good microkernel architecture already in place. We have the symmetric multiprocessing and security already in place. So what do we add on to that? Well, we add things like an object-oriented file system to where file names essentially become irrelevant in this environment. You store data and you retrieve data. You do context instances and rich indexing so that I can search for all documents on my hard drive that had the word "you" in it, or "at" or "the," whatever. It's all indexed and context indexed. We also add things like remote activation and replication. These are really get into a high-end object-oriented type of system. We add distributed management and security, this being based on a lot of the work done by MIT having to do with Kerberos. And last, we're based on OLE 2.0 and Windows 32. Well, that pretty much wraps up my part of the presentation. Now we're going to get to a little bit of the demo. Just to give you an example of what I'm running here, I have a compact 486C. It's a 6646 processor. The first thing you'll notice that Windows prompts me for a logon. Every user in the system has to have an account. Can you not hear me? Well, anyway, the first thing you'll notice is that the user has to log on. Whenever I'm gone away from the system, it will ask me to reinitiate the logon sequence, which is Alt Control Delete. Every time you go to a system, you'll see the Alt Control Delete piece to it. And I have to enter a password, and Joe left me the password is G. I think it is. Try it again. Oh, okay. Third time's a charm. It's that case-sensitive password line in there. First thing I kind of open up, the first thing you'll notice is the cursor. If you look real close with the cursor, we've added something to NT. It's referred to as animated cursors. And what I'd like to do is change it to my favorite animated cursor. We'll do a browse. Oops. And we have the horse as the cursor. The other big thing that's glaring in NT is it looks just like Windows 3.1. I did a demo. I did the demo at the convention center last February. To me, it's very hard to demo NT because, I mean, a majority of the people out there are running Windows today, and I can tell you that it has a GUI interface and it has drag and drop and lets you set up program groups, but you know all that. It's just Windows 3.1. Some of the things that are unique about NT talk about, for example, are the file system. The file system will support long file names. As you can notice in the bottom dialog here, I have long directory names and long file names. I can do things in NT that in the background that I probably couldn't have done before. Excuse me, for example, I'll do a search of a directory. I'll do, whoops. The horse kind of gets away from you sometimes. You kind of have to watch it. Okay, we'll do a search. And we'll search all files and all directories. And that's going on, and of course I can now switch back and do something else if I want to. Just to give you an idea, now I can open up the command prompt, run a command, works fine. I can go back to my search, boom, I've now searched on all directories. So that was only really meant to demonstrate some of the multi-processing aspects of NT and the fact that you can switch away from tasks. You're no longer I/O bound by anything that you do in the system. Some of the other things in this file system, for example, on the NTFS volume, which is the E volume, there's a new button across the top on the toolbar. It's where the horse is galloping right now. And that being a key or security aspect. This gives you the ability, no directory. Okay, let me select a file here. Click on the key. And now I can set security privileges down to the file level. I can change that to where I can get access for full control. I can give people some special accesses that I've set up, which may be some multiple of these, change access, or just read access if I needed to. Another thing you'll notice about Windows NT, as far as the interface goes, the DOS boxes, we talked about that already. Let me shrink this down, get that horse, whip him in shape. There's a whole list of performance monitoring tools here to where I can monitor the CPU performance. I'm doing that already in one of those. Right now I'm measuring the processor utilization on this machine. NT is when I talked about remote admin tools, for example, you can see the dialog that has //Joe_TU_46. Well, that's extensible. If I was on a network, I can monitor someone else's machine or monitor my boss's machine if I want to see if he really gets any work done or not. We'll do done. The print manager is same in same as in Windows for Workgroup. Some of the unique things about Windows NT printing, you do not have to have local printer drivers loaded locally. For example, the only person on your network that has to have the printer driver is the machine that's connected to that network printer, whether it be over the network. Whatever machine is spooling the jobs, essentially, that's the only machine that has to have the printer device driver. Now, this is very, very nice. We use remote procedure calls and sending meta files to the server machines so that if you ever update the printer driver, you only have to update it in one place. People can connect to printers using long file names and not have to worry about what my printer driver is. I can throw a new printer in there, throw a new memory in it, throw a new type of cartridge in it, and the system can automatically take advantage of that by just upgrading the printer driver in one place. The DOS command prompt is about the same. There's built-in sound support in Windows NT if we were to go back to Control Panel. Here's where I changed the cursors. If you'll notice from the just Control Panel aspects, all configuration options are changed through Control Panel. There's no such thing as a config sys or an auto exec in NT. Everything is stored in a binary database. If you ever mess your configuration up, which I know that some people do, and I always had to carry around a DOS boot disk in case I mucked with my system. Well, NT will remember your last known good configuration and will boot to that configuration. So that if I go in and muck with the machine's configuration, I blow it away, it won't boot. It'll come up and say that I've detected a bad configuration. I'm going back to your last known good one and loading that one, which is very convenient and manageable. The sound works great. I'm not going to blow you away on the sound here. The whole thing is that for those people that are familiar with Windows 3.1, you'll be very familiar with Windows NT. You'll be able to take advantage of the power of the system from day one. There's no learning curve on user interface. Everything that you want to do is right there in front of you. It's just an extension of the Windows family. And with that, I'd like to really thank you for your time.
So this was a good one, hopefully. Okay. Okay. Test 1, 2, 3, 4. Test 1, 2. I think I'm ready here. Let's see which microphone I'm working off. This one here. And I need to switch a button, and we're on. Let's see. I need to go to yeah. I'll say yeah. Now, and yes, that's my password. Now I have to, my name's David Barnes. Let me start out by saying I like wearing these kind of clothes, okay? I also have to say, more than once in the last few weeks, I've had people say that Microsoft is getting to be more like IBM used to be, and IBM is getting to be more like Microsoft used to be. I like that too. Now, a couple other things. Before I even start, first of all, I have no bullets. This is pure demonstration. It's all code that you can buy today. It's shrink wrap, okay? Every application I'm going to show you, you can buy today. Before I get into that, though, I got to really say one big thing. A couple of years ago, the very first PC users group I ever presented to was y'all. I can say that because I'm in Texas, right? Since that time, I have made it a habit. That's pretty much what I do. I will tell you the only reason that OS2 2.1 is alive today is because of users groups, Team OS2, and grassroots people. It is certainly not because of IBM's incredible marketing skills, okay? Yeah. The users wouldn't let the product die, and that's what it comes down to. And I'll tell you that I am like you. I am a user. I'm not an architect. I spent a few years in the field with an oscilloscope. I spent a few years as an SE, as a PSR. I used to spend, some people say in the trenches. They haven't been there. It's in the cubicles, okay? I've been in the cubicles, in the ranks. And that's where I want to approach the use of this product from. Now, OS2 2.1 that I'm going to show you right now, this is the real shrink wrap level code, and that is the workplace shell in front of OS2. Now, if you say the workplace shell, didn't IBM used to have the presentation manager? This is the presentation manager. Nothing has changed as far as that. If you write programs to OS2, you still write using the PM APIs. None of that's changed. The workplace shell is the way I interact with it. It is an object-oriented user interface. Object-oriented in a couple of things. One, everything on the screen is an object. All objects are acted upon the same way. For example, if I click with the left mouse button, I select an object. If I click with the right mouse button, I get a pop-up menu. That is true for every object without exception. Down here's my printer. Right mouse button, pop-up menu. Even my desktop is an object. It has a pop-up menu. You can create your own menu items for those things you want to get to quickly. And it's very quick and easy to create those menu items. As I go along in the workplace shell, look for that. You'll see the pop-up menus all of the time. One of the things that's always there is help. The online help is good in OS2. 2.1 is significantly better than 2.0 as far as its online help. It is really good. As I go along also, I really have to point this out. This is important. The workplace shell is a job. In OS2, we call them a process. It runs in its own address space, but as a job, it is well threaded. Threads are real important to understand. Now, when I say it's a job, that means if you want to start up OS2 in what I call ugly mode, C://, you can. Seriously, you go into your config sys, change a line where it says PM shell, just say cmd.exe, that's OS2's command processor, and you come up C://. And when you want to launch the workplace shell, type in PM shell, and it launches it. It's a very tightly integrated job, but it's just a job. As a job, though, it is threaded, and you have to, we've been talking about threads here. Threads are real important to understand. Basic programming 101. I write lines of code and I execute them sequentially. Hey, I want to do something different. I'll do perhaps a branch return. I branch over to a subroutine, execute those lines of code, come back to my main thread, continue executing. One single thread of execution. That is DOS, that's DOS Windows, that's even the Macintosh System 7 does not have threads. In OS2, when you launch an application with threads, I'm working in my process. I want to do something different. I launch a thread to go off and work. It continues to work as this thread continues to work. I can run up to 4,096 concurrent threads. What this means is important is that when I go and work with the workplace shell, look for the hourglass. Watch for the hourglass while I go off and work. You won't see it because I spin off a thread to go and do those functions in the background. I'll show you threads as I go along, but I want to point out, we're talking about 32-bit, and 32-bit's important. But I'll tell you that I will take a well-threaded 16-bit application over a non-threaded 32-bit application anytime. The way we used to measure response time on the mainframes, when I hit enter on a dumb terminal, it went up, threw it up to the host, came back. When my keyboard unlocked, that was response time because I can go back and work. Measure response time here, and it pops back on the screen. I have my cursor back immediately because I spawn a thread to go do that, and all of these new machines can handle it. 32-bit's important, but multiple threads are more important. Now, excuse me, I'm not a magician, but I do want to grab a glass of water underneath here. Now, I'm going to go off and do some work with the workplace shell. How many people out there are OS2 users? Yeah, yes. Hey, I say yes because a couple of years ago, I never even asked, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and click. One of the things that's new on 2.1 is when I click on... Pardon me? Okay, don't pull it. All right. Now, one of the things that's new here, from the backdrop, when I say I can launch the system setup directly from my backdrop menu. One of the things I'm going to do is just quickly show you selective install, some of the new hardware support that's in OS2. This is real important because OS2 2.0 didn't have it. Some of the things are CD-ROM devices now from CD Technology, Hitachi, IBM CD-ROM 1 and 2, NEC, the new NEC Multispin, Panasonic, Pioneer, Sony, Texel, Toshiba, and of course, there is the infamous Other. That's probably the one you have, right? Now, also, SCSI device support from Adaptec, DPT, Future Domain, IBM's AT bus and microchannel bus. I'll tell you that if you go out on CompuServe, there are drivers out there for the Sound Blaster CD-ROM for OS2, the one that hooks on the external of the Sound Blaster. The Mitsumi, I think it's pronounced Mitsumi. It's about $100 and some CD-ROM device. There's a driver. DAC, the Stereo Liquidator. There's a CD-ROM driver, right? Hey, this is good for us. It really is. The idea is that, yes, we sell hardware as the IBM Corporation, but my objective is to get OS2 to run on as many machines as possible, and that's what we plan on doing. Other things that are in here that are new, PCM-CIA support for the PCM-CIA and the portable machines, as well as advanced power management, okay? Now, the biggest thing out of all of this is that now I can have my OS2 devices, and they can be non-IBM devices, and that's terrific. Oh, by the way, I gotta let you know, I got a 48633 here. I've got 16 megabyte of memory, because I get it free. And I'll tell you that I could do this demo in 8, and you would be duly impressed. You really would. It is very impressive in 8. OS2's minimum, on the side of the box it says 4. David Barnes says 6 is the minimum. I like 8. It's a nice sweet spot, and everybody's pretty happy at 8 megabyte, okay? Now, there's OS2 users here. You're going to like this. Let's go ahead and take something. Let me take this application folder here. I'm going to open up the settings. Anybody want to go through the steps required to change an icon in OS2? No, I don't either, right? Look how you do it now. You grab an icon, you drag it, you drop it, and it assumes the icon. Yeah. And it can do that, and it doesn't have to be an icon. In fact, now let me show you something else here. I'm going to open up my system folder, open up my drives folder, open up my eDrive folder. Notice my cursor? By the way, the gentleman up here before me told me that's impossible. What I just did you see an hourglass? I didn't see an hourglass. He said when we open our drives folders that the system's unavailable. Hasn't happened to me, and I use it about 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, so I'm not sure what he meant by that. Now, when I go up here, and I'll show you, well, here's another example. Let's open up my icons, but while I'm opening up my icons, I'll close this down, go over and close this down. My icons are opening right now. What I just showed you was multiple threads. Also, what he just said can't happen. But I just showed you multiple threads. You never saw the hourglass, right? I could also do the same thing right here. I could just take icons and go ahead and do the association that way. What I really wanted to show you is notice how quickly it popped up. It's much, much, much faster than OS2 2.0. But let's go on and get some applications going here. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to start a DOS application called Popeye. It's a flick file. Actually, it's a fly file. It takes a second to load because it goes into about 2 megabyte of DOS memory, right? Now, Popeye, if I do an Alt-Home, I put it in full screen here. The projector has to catch up. Alt-Home, I put it back in a window. That's true for any DOS application under OS2. Now, why do I show this? I do like it. That's one good reason. But one of the other reasons I show it is because he can't. Okay? NT can't do this. You notice he said text applications in a window. NT can't put graphics applications in a window. DOS graphics applications in a window. Okay? I'm sorry, your bullet said text, and your tech conference I went to said text. Okay, we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. We'll talk about it then. Okay? Let me say it this way. If you get Windows Magazine, it's the one on the shelf this month. There's a review of NT and OS2 in the magazine, and it's by the managing editor of Windows Magazine. He's the news editor. And I quote, says that OS2's DOS support flat out kicks NT's butt. Quote. That is a quote. And his other quote was that NT's DOS support is reminiscent of that of OS2 1.x's DOS compatibility box. Which we all know was the contemptibility box, right? Yeah, okay. Now, so here's my DOS application, but while Popeye's running, see that OS2 newsletter? I'm launching an application now. I'm launching an application. You see my hourglass? No. Do you see Popeye skip a beat? No. I'm launching a 32-bit OS2 application. This is shrink-wrap code. This is bio-purchasable code right now. This is describe word processor. Popeye continues to run in the background. What I did is I spawned a virtual 86 processor in the chip, and Popeye sits within that virtual 86 processor, runs in the chip. Now, by the way, it's going to take a second to put this document on the screen because the border of this thing is about 1.2 megabyte. So I go ahead and put the document up on the screen, and again, this is describe word processor. I have a Mi Pro OS2 on here. That's not golden code yet, so I'm not going to show it. I also had WordPerfect for OS2 5.2 on here, but that's not golden again, so I won't show it. I'm only going to show you code you can buy. Now, Popeye's sitting out there in a window. What I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead, put my cursor here, do a mark, grab the data on the screen. It's a little difficult to see. Now, we stopped Popeye, right? No, this could be a communications program. When I select copy, look where Popeye's at. It's been running the whole time. OS2 doesn't stop your DOS programs. You could have been doing a 9600 baud file transfer. It doesn't want to stop it. It only froze the frame for me. Yes, you can run 9600 baud DOS file transfers in the background while you go and work. I do it all the time under OS2. Works terrifically. I got some of my own internal DOS stuff that we use. Do file transfers, go off and work. Now, that sits out in my clipboard in OS2. I'm going to go back over here, go into my word processor, put my cursor about right here, do an edit and a paste, and there's a cut and a paste from a DOS piece of shareware into a 32-bit OS2 application. Now, that is still in my clipboard. If I wanted to go into a Me Pro Windows version and paste it, bam, it puts it in there. If I want to go and put it into other applications, the clipboard is common between DOS, Windows, and OS2 applications here. So I can share that data with another DOS application, Windows application, or OS2 application. Now, I want to show you here. Now, this is pretty neat. I clicked on OS2 Newsletter, and that's the name of my file. Now, wait a minute. File name's 8 characters, 3 characters, right? And directory name's 8 characters. And why is that anyway? Why, to be compatible with CP/M, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. When DOS was invented by a guy named Tim Patterson, when Tim invented DOS, he wrote the file system to be compatible with CP/M, Control Program for Microprocessors. 8 character, 3 character. Anybody, and I know there's old CP/M users out there. I know there are. And by the way, yeah, and by the way, if you want to run CP/M in a DOS box in OS2, it works just fine. I tested it, okay? You think I'm a geek, don't you? It works, it really does. So now, wait a minute. Now, this is OS2 Newsletter. We blew by that. I use the